Okay, so next week we have Eddie. The week after we have our Trade Blitz Day with our resident tradies, Shane, Palau, Grant, Jake, Jarrett and Uber. And then we have Deb doing her first prezzo on the 11th, followed by Dean and then Uber till the end of July. But now it's my pleasure to introduce this week's feature presenter, Derek Lodge. Derek holds the category of a residential mortgage broker in the group and works for Liberty Network Services in Warners Bay. He's been in business for 7 years and credits his success to taking a genuine interest in people that he works with to obtain the best outcome for them. Derek's married to Katrina and they live in Carter South. Some of Derek's hobbies and interests include all kinds of sport as well as reading, music and the outdoors. Some of Derek's previous jobs include bank manager, teller, wealth creation advisor, courier driver, pizza store manager and service station attendant. And his burning desire is to help lift the financial literacy of everyday people to empower them to take control of their situation. So Derek, I'll hand over to you, but if you could let us know something that nobody knows about you, please.
Thanks, Bill. I know a few of you know, but back in late 2008, early 2009, I spent 4 months in Jasper. I did go over there to basically be over there for a couple of years and my dad got sick, so I came back to run his business. But while I was over there, I worked at a few places, a couple of motels as front-end reception, one as a night audit, but basically spent 4 months in a small town called Jasper, which is over the west side. Some of the best months of my life. Got me life perspective and looking back, it taught me a lot of things in that small amount of time. So really enjoyed. Beautiful place. If you're ever over there, drop by. So this week I just wanted to run through a few different scenarios. I'll tell you a little bit about what I do and then invite you to sit down and have a chat with me for a one-to-one. On the screen you'll see some of the banks that I deal with. There are some brokers out there that deal with 60, 70 lenders. I've got about 20 on my panel. Truth be told, most people only use half a dozen to a dozen on a consistent basis anyway, but it's good to have options, and that's probably the biggest point of difference over someone walking into a bank. They'll offer you the best solutions that they've got, where myself as a broker, and there's also asset finance people in the room, the advantage of those is that there's more options to choose from, so we can find a tailored solution to the needs of the people that we speak to. So the first of the 2 scenarios I want to run through today, lovely couple. This one was a consolidation loan, so they were struggling to get on top of all their payments, not only from a dollars and cents point of view, but they had 8 payments throughout the months. So 8 into 30 days, like something was coming out every couple of days, and I was just finding it hard to keep on top of when things were coming out, especially because one of them was getting paid fortnightly. They had 2 home loans, 2 credit cards, 2 personal loans, 2 car loans, for a total repayments of about $2,700 a month. So I spoke to them about their situation. They conveyed to me what they were trying to do. One, reduce their spend each month, but also to reduce the head noise, I suppose, of that stress of every couple of days something happening. We found appropriate lender. We consolidated all their debts into one payment, and at the time I was under $1,200 a month, so it saved them over $1,500 a month. The biggest thing to point out here is consolidating loans isn't always the best idea, and I had a good chat to them about that, because you're basically taking a lot of short-term debt with the credit cards, personal loans, car loans, and you're dragging it out over 30 years. But in this case, they wanted to reduce the head noise, get one payment, and their plan to get around that was they're going to pay extra off the home loan. I get told that all the time. Most people do, some people don't, and a couple of years later they're in the same position. But for the ones that do want to actually clean up their situation and move forward, it's a great strategy. They're obviously very happy, especially with the rate rises that have happened since, and have referred business to me already. The second case study, a few of you would be aware, Eddie, Shane, these are the Kellets that I've been dealing with that you guys have just helped in the last couple of weeks, so thanks very much for that. They sat down with me about 18 months ago. They're in their late 40s, and they said, we don't think we'll ever get into a house. And I said, well, let's have a chat about your situation. Let's see what we can come up with. So I've had a look at their income to start with. Could they afford it? And they could easily. So then we started looking at, well, what's the minimum that you're going to need to save to get into a home? And we worked that out to be about $35,000. So what they've done over the last 18 months is that they've saved close to $2,000 a month by really stripping back their expenses, really getting serious about what they can save, and they've saved that. And they've been in regular contact over that time. These are people that haven't saved more than $5,000 in their life, and they're over the moon when they hit $5,000, when they hit $10,000, and the beliefs start to grow that they could actually get into a house. So, as I said, over 18 months, their savings start to grow, but more importantly, from a mental headspace, their financial literacy grew because they started to keep an eye on everything. They started checking insurance premiums and electricity and all those little things. They watched every dollar to save as much as they can to get them on track as quickly as they could. We've spoken probably at least 5 or 6 times in the last 18 months because they just wanted to regularly meet. Are we still on track? Are we still got the capability of servicing a loan of what we're wanting to do? We recently obtained pre-approval with the loan and the government scheme. They, as of about 2 weeks ago, they found a house. Eddie's doing the conveyancing. They got Shane to come and have a look at the building and pest. Everything's on track. Loan approved, property due to settle next month. So the biggest thing out of this one is these are people that they're late 40s, so for 30 years of their life, they've been adults and they've been working with no belief, no savings, nothing behind them, living paycheck to paycheck basically. And all of a sudden, in the space of 18 months, their mindset has changed completely. They're now at a stage where they'll be able to afford the home loan repayments and still be saving. And they've got that mentality, so they're going to be in a lot better situation. Just on the government schemes, very quickly, a few things are changing as of July 1. The state government, there's grants and there's schemes. So the first time owners grant is to do with stamp duty. That was up to $650,000. So anything under that for first home buyers, they didn't pay stamp duty. That's going to $800,000. That's a state government initiative. So the Labor government, when they came in March, that was one of their promises that they'll lift that to 800. So that's coming in. In regards to the scheme, more things are being opened up for more people. They're floating around. If you haven't owned a house for more than 10 years, you can use the scheme as well as the regional scheme, first home buyer scheme, first family scheme for single parents. There's a lot of schemes about. So for people, I actually spoke to someone yesterday who didn't have any savings but just wanted to know about it. They were surprised that for as little as 2%, they could get in. Now, obviously, the more deposit you've got, the better your situation is. But there's schemes around, there's grants around. So if people are unsure of what there is, and just like the Kellets here, if they want to set themselves a target over the next 12 months, 18 months, I'm more than happy to sit down with them and put that target in place, help them to have a look at their budget and where they can save, and then if they're serious enough, they'll do it, because it can happen. People in situations to look out for, worried about rises in interest rates. Probably anyone under 50 hasn't really gone through anything like we've gone through over the last year. People that are coming off fixed rates, I spoke about in my 60 seconds, some of those repayments are going up 60, 80%. So just think, if they were paying, I'm just going to use a low figure, like $1,000, that's going to like $1,800. If they were paying $2,000, that's going to like $3,500. It's a big difference in budget just on a certain date. So people that have been on variable have sort of ridden it up and adjusted to it on the way up. People that are coming off fixed rates are going to get the big shocks. So that's coming off fixed rates. We'd love to purchase a house or investment home. I've had the pleasure of working with Scott with a few of his clients and things like that with investment homes. There's a lot of ways to build wealth, to build for your retirement. Property's one. If that's the course that people choose, more than happy to have that conversation with them to let them know what we can do. There are options within investments, like making it interest only, so you can concentrate on your owner occupied property. So then you're working on capital growth over time. Obviously, the plan A is always to be paying down debt, but there are ways that you can help minimise repayments while still creating some wealth. People who say it feels like I'll never get into the market, that was the Kellets 18 months ago. People are out there, and I talk to them all the time, that because of either their upbringing or their beliefs in their head that they've built up, that they've only lived paycheck to paycheck and things like that. We as humans spend a lot of wasted money. And I'm not here to judge anyone, but people who want to change their life can find ways to do so. Struggling to keep track of repayments, just like the first scenario I spoke to, some people I talk to are in just a financial mess, not in that they're not making the repayments, but they're just keeping on track. And when you've got credit card payments and personal loans, car loans, home loans, the stress that people are under every single day, because they only get paid once a week, once a fortnight, once a month, just to keep track of when things are coming out of the month and what day is it and what date is it, and oh, that falls on a weekend, so it's coming out either before or after, and everything else. There's a lot of head noise. Financial stress is one of the biggest reasons why people separate and causes problems in homes. So if I can help alleviate that, then obviously that helps in that area too. People unsure of the advice that they've received from their bank, their broker, their friend, their aunt, their second cousin's neighbour, anyone else. There's a lot of advice out there, especially Friday night at the pub, about, oh, I'm on this rate, oh, I've got this rate. Everyone's situation's different, and just because you feel that your situation's exactly the same as someone else, there could be reasons why Bank A will work, but Bank B won't, and so forth. So it's my job to not only find solutions, but then once I find solutions, find the best solutions to your situation. And that's it. Every situation's different. You can't take advice from randoms about your situation. You need to sit down and talk to a specialist. If you've got someone who looks after you, happy days. Stay with them. If you don't, then that's where I can come in. Or if you just want a second opinion, that's where I can come in. So why me? Been lending over 15 years. I take a free thinking approach to situations and try to think outside the square. I respond quickly and communicate to all parties, the accountants, the conveyancers, real estate agents and so forth. There is a big difference in that area who you get. Some conveyancers and real estate agents are great, others are terrible. When whole communication, if everyone communicates well, that's when you get the stress-free process. And I speak to people at their level and help financially educate them along the way if it's required. I speak to people that know nothing, and I speak to very educated people, and that's how the conversations go. If you want to know anything else, by all means, reach out. I'm happy to have a one-to-one. There's some of the testimonials. So yeah, look forward to talking to you all soon.
Presentation, Derek. Nothing else that comes across how client focused and open-minded you are when dealing with your clients. So if anyone hears of anyone